Daniel Dubois versus Jarrell Big Baby Miller, 10 rounds in the heavyweight division on the undercard of Anthony Joshua out of Wali in Saudi Arabia. This one is going to be very interesting. This is probably the one I'm the most interested in of this card, massive card. Let's start with Daniel Dubois. 19 wins, 2 losses, and 19 wins by way of knockout. Daniel Dubois, things have taken a turn for Dubois' path in the recent years, especially since his loss to Joe Joyce in a fight where he gave it his all, hit Joe Joyce with every single shot that he had in his repertoire from every different angles. He gave it everything that he had, and it wasn't enough. Joe Joyce just kept coming forward like the robot that he is and just kept swinging, consistently kept coming forward until it got to a point where Daniel Dubois' eye was in trouble. It was hurt, it was damaged, and with all the damage he couldn't see, he decided to take himself out of the fight. We took a knee to the 10 count and it was over with. So after that, he bounced back with a dominant win over undefeated fighter at the time, Trevor Bryan, stopped him in 4 rounds. After that, he faced Kevin Lerena. After being knocked down 3 times, Dubois overcame those knockdowns, got some knockdowns of his own, and then went on to win the fight by way of stoppage. But the whole time that I was watching the fight against Kevin Lerena, I saw someone, to me personally, who was confused mentally and kind of lost the confidence. I think there was a lot of thinking going on in that fight inside of his head. And depending on how the fight is going, he either believes himself and wills himself to victory, or he doubts himself and he takes a step back. I think Dubois is a physical specimen, and you would want someone, if you're a trainer, that looks like Daniel Dubois and take him on to train him, and you look at him and he passes the eye test for a typical heavyweight. He's big, he's strong, he can move a little bit, good technique, good fundamentals, and good jab, puts together good combinations, and he's got that knockout power. We've talked about Dubois a couple times on this channel before, so you know what I think about him. I think he's a solid fighter. Right? Solid heavyweight, very skillful, as I said. But in boxing, you need a certain level of meanness and confidence to you in high-level sports, period. Every race that I went to, regardless of who was in that race, regardless if Usain Bolt was in that race, Johan Blake was in that race, Justin Gatlin, for all my track people who know names, those are the top of the tops. I didn't care where I ranked at the time in that year in the top rankings, whether I was ranked in the top 50, top 25, whether I was ranked in the top 70. I always had confidence and belief that I was going to win, and I never let that waver, even if I didn't perform to the best of my ability. Daniel Dubois, at times, you can see he loses his confidence throughout his fights. I'm sure you know boxers who talk a whole lot of mess, right? And even if you don't even like them like that, they're speaking so confidently, right, in what they're saying. It makes you say, you know what? He's got a point. Like, I kind of believe him, right? Dubois, to me, lost a lot of that confidence, as I said. And I think the confidence loss started to come when he suffered his first loss when he fought Joe Joyce. I don't know what was going on inside of his head when he fought Kevin Lerena. It just wasn't a good look to me. Even though he won the fight, I had a lot more questions than him saying, wow, that was a great fight. I had a lot of questions, but we move on. After that, he fought Alexander Usyk and had the opportunity to become a champion. Dubois is always going to give his best shot, man. He's got good skill. He's always got a shot. He's got a puncher's chance. He's always going to be in the fight until he is. Against Usyk, I didn't think he'd be able to keep up with the speed of Usyk and the movement, but there were some good moments from Daniel Dubois, right? Moments when he would counter Usyk to the body, to the ribs, where he would land cleanly. He was doing some good things, man. He wasn't completely out of the fight, even though he was getting outboxed consistently throughout that fight. The body shot that he took down Alexander Usyk that a lot of people thought was a low blow, I thought it was right on the belt line. I thought it should have been counted as a knockdown, in my personal opinion. But that wasn't the case. Low blow. But after that, man, Usyk just got meaner. That's what I'm talking about. That switch to be able to just change your physiology and just get mean inside of the ring. Usyk has that switch, and he turned it on. Usyk started pressing the matter a little bit. He was landing twice as much as he was in the beginning half of the fight. And then you got to see Daniel Dubois' mannerism started to completely change. He started to get a lot more discouraged. Two things stuck out to me in that fight. Dubois was in his corner. The camera angle zoomed in, and Dubois, his coach, was talking to him, and Dubois was looking over here. And his coach literally had to grab his face and turn him back and say, yo, this is what we're doing. Didn't really look engaged in that fight to me. I said, okay, maybe that doesn't mean anything. Maybe you're thinking too much into it, Akeem. The other part for me was the jab that knocked him down and the fact that he stayed down. I watched that back and forth a lot of times, right? Just to see the shot. Where did it hit? Did it hit him in the eye? Was it one of those awkward shots that looked harder than what it looked? Was his eye already, like, what was going on? Was he hurting more than we knew because he never said anything, right? The shot just looked like a hard, stiff, straight jab right on his face. I'm never going to see anybody doesn't want to fight anymore. I mean, I'm never going to belittle, never going to talk down to anybody. That's not what we do on this channel. I've never done it about any fighter. But to me, in this fight, man, it looked like he, one, didn't want to fight anymore, or I can't beat this guy, so what's the point? Not a good look, because he could have gotten up and could have finished that fight. We're not in his head to know the full extent of what was going around, but it looked like he didn't want to fight anymore, which draws more questions to me even more. Does he even want to fight? If the going gets tough, does he want to get with the going, or does he want to throw it in and say, I've done enough, I got my money, it's all good? He hasn't handled the pressure, the physical pressure very well in the fights where he's fighting the top guys and even guys who aren't top guys. Where is his head at? From the press conference, man, when Jarrell Miller was talking about him and talking to him, his comebacks were terrible. 0 out of 10. He didn't even look like he wanted to talk. So we'll see, man. The talent and the skill are all still there. The physical capabilities and components that made him successful in his years of boxing is still there. But is his confidence? Is the belief? Guess we'll see. Let's talk about his opponent, Jarrell Miller. 26 wins, no losses, 1 draw, 22 wins by way of knockout. Miller is the opposite of Daniel Dubois. He's a confident guy. He talks his talk and he backs it up to this extent. He has not lost before. He's gotten wins over Gerald Washington when he was kind of still in his prime a bit. And most recently, Lucas Browns, for familiar names that most people know. Apart from that, you look at his resume. I look at his resume. I'm like, I haven't heard about half the guys that he has fought. Just because I'm not familiar with some of the guys that he's fought does not mean he can't rise to the occasion and fight these big guys. Of course, we know he was supposed to fight Anthony Joshua. I don't know what exactly transpired there, right? But here we are. 2018, he was absent from boxing for 3 years, came back to fight Ariel Barcamonte, I believe it is. Now, Miller is always pretty big, but he came into that fight like 340 pounds. And I saw at the weigh-in, man, he looked big and not the healthy big. And he won that fight by unanimous decision. But, you know, that was the more skillful guy won the fight. The better guy won the fight. But you also give him a little bit grace because it's been 3 years since he has been out of the ring. And you give them a little bit grace to see what their next 2 fights will be looking like. He was more skillful than Barcamonte, right? For his size, man, Jarrell Miller can still rip shots through the body. He can still put together some good combinations, man. So he's skillful. Even at 340 or whatever he's going to come in, he is still skillful, and he's mean as well. And we'll talk about that a little bit shortly. After that, he fought Derek Cardenas, and he took him out in 4 rounds, right? His weight looked better. He looked more conditioned, and his punches had bigger snap on them, and he was accurate, right? So we got to see, okay, he's starting to get the hang of things again and more improved going into the second fight after the long layoff. In his most recent fight, he fought Lucas Brown, and that was the Miller that I was looking to see. Brown is a big, tough dude, man, and who can punch. And Miller used his jab. Sometimes he did like a triple jab, that Roy Jones, boom, 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 boom type of jab. I'm like, whoa, look at this man go. You know what I'm saying? He got a little speed to him a little bit. And he pressed forward a lot that fight. He took Brown's best punches and still came forward. From in close, he was landing these slick shots, right? Hook around the guard, uppercut in the guard, just doing different things to score points, to land shots, and to be consistent with the target that he was hitting. He was going to the body as well, too. He was looping some shots in. He was leading that big body on Brown, kind of wearing him down a little bit. And Brown was trying to get him out of there, man. Trying to land some big shots, but he couldn't do it. And eventually, Miller's consistency and the pressure started to wear down Lucas Brown, and he got tired. And that's when he started to really put combinations together. And the combinations were quick. Well, for someone his size, they were effective. And he was consistent, man. You know, in the fourth round, I thought he was going to close out the show in that fight because he hit Brown with 4 or 5 consistent, consecutive looping hooks. Boom. He was being going over the top with the left, over the top with the right, over the top. And it was just back to back to back to back. And he had Lucas Brown falling backwards. And you could see in the rounds, Brown was starting to get banged up, man. He was bleeding a little bit. And then Miller started to really let his hands go. And he got even meaner and put more, started sitting down on his punches a lot more. And he was able to close out the show. Miller might talk trash, man, but he knows how to back it up. Right. And I believe in this fight, he will as well. You can't take him for granted, man. Just because he is big and he may not look the part, he is in pretty good shape and pretty good condition. He knows how to punch. He knows how to conserve his energy and come forward when he needs to. And he's got good pop in his shots. So it's going to be interesting, man. This is a very interesting fight. So who wins? A lot of people are going to say, man, this is going to be easy work for Daniel Dubois. Miller is slow. He's big. He's this and he's that. He hasn't fought anyone to the level of competition like Daniel Dubois has. And I hear you. But I think if Daniel Dubois is going to win this fight, he's going to have to knock him out early. He needs to stop Miller early in the fight because the longer the fight goes on, Miller's going to get to him. He's going to hit him. He's going to hit him with shots and pressure. And he's going to sit down on his punches a little bit more. And he's going to keep coming forward the more confident that he gets. And when Daniel Dubois sees that he's losing momentum and Miller is coming forward, I think he's going to tap out. I think he's going to fold. And I think he's going to get stopped. I think, and I'm going to think that until he proves me otherwise. I don't think he fully believes himself anymore. And me and my guy TJ was talking about this when the fight was announced. I don't believe Daniel Dubois is as confident as he once was, man. And that is why I'm leaning towards Big Baby Miller to win this fight by knockout. Dubois winning wouldn't surprise me, but if it doesn't happen early in the fight, if he doesn't impose his will early in the fight, if he doesn't get a knockdown, if he doesn't get something to bring his confidence up, I don't think he wins this fight. And I think he fades mentally first as the fight goes on, and then the body will follow. I like the underdog Miller in this fight. I like Big Baby Miller to win this fight by knockout. What are your thoughts on this fight? Who do you have winning this one? Let me know in the comment section below. If you'd like to support the channel, there's a couple ways you can do so. You can like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to support by way of donation, you can find options in the description below. Also, my Cash App handle will be on screen as well. Any amount goes towards the growth of this channel and will be greatly, greatly appreciated. Shout out to everybody that continues to like, comment, share, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate each of you. So with all that being said, if you've been watching the video this long, do me a favor and subscribe to the channel, and we'll definitely see you next time.